situated here. Good old cup of Joe this morning. Man, this phone mount's wanting to do the same thing the other one was doing. Good morning. Leroy, good morning. What's up, Rocker? How are you? Good morning. Good morning. How you guys feeling? Yeah, we're doing good, Ricky. Thank you. Alex, morning. Chris, morning. Joe, good morning to you. Cold? When I got in here this morning, it was about 30, probably 30 degrees, 32 degrees. But I turned the torpedo heater on for about 20 minutes before I got the live stream started. And I had the diesel heaters running for like the last 15 minutes. So it's probably close to 50, 55 degrees in here. It doesn't feel that bad, actually. Jeez, 20 inches of snow? No thanks. Guten Morgen. You guys want to be the first to see what I got in here? Got a surprise in here. I sound like the guy in the white vans with no windows on the side that says, "Here's the candy." Who can guess what it is? Who can guess what it is? Do any of you have a good morning, Ollie? Good morning. Do any of you have a 2.7 liter EcoBoost? Like an F-150? You guys are going to be the first to see this product. It's only been out, I think, a little over a month. An aluminum oil pan with a freaking gasket to replace the plastic pan on the 2.7 EcoBoost F-150s that keep constantly leaking and keep going on back order. Ta-da! It's got the pickup tube assembly here on the bottom. It's got the grommet and everything attached for it, just like the factory one. And when they put the drain plug in here, they give you a magnetic drain plug. It's not just a regular drain plug. See, that's that screw magnetizing to the actual drain plug. How about that, guys? That's pretty freaking sweet, ain't it? And this is the Dorman part, 264791. Just came out not too long ago. That's nice. Comes with all new hardware, so you're not reusing the old bolts. You get all new hardware with it. Now that's a bad pan. And even that pickup tube that's in the bottom, if you look, you can unbolt it. And if you want to put a new pickup tube inlet, you can actually unbolt it, put a new inlet, and bolt it back down. Look here. See the base down there? It's got those 3 screws that hold it down. Undo those, slide that thing out, slide a new one in, and put it back. In case something happens, it breaks, whatever. That's pretty neat. You know, Dorman's really come a long way. A very, very, very long way. My first bad experience with Dorman was a Ford Explorer. Customer came in with, and they had a Dorman fuel pump module. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Ford Explorers, but if you're looking at the passenger side of the Ford Explorer, here's the driver's side, here's the passenger side. Not the front door, but the back door on, what is that, the A, B, the C pillar where it comes down. If you pull that plastic back out of the way, there's a fuel pump driver module behind there, and those tend to go out, causing the fuel pump to not run, vehicle not to start. You can actually bypass the wires to get it to work temporarily, but that fuel pump module, they go bad. And the factory ones typically last about 10, 12 years. Well, the aftermarket one from Dorman, we ended up having a customer come in. You guys remember Dundee Ford, right? Me working out at Dundee Ford? I'm sure most of you do. That's probably where a lot of you OGs came from. Remember when I worked out there? I had an Explorer come in, and it had a Dorman fuel pump module that only lasted a year. It was like a year and a few odd days. And that was a little upsetting for a lot of people because in general, you don't want to have to go through stuff like that, you know. And I had some bad things to say at the time before I really knew too much about the company and what they did. And not terrible things to say, but I kind of trash talked them, and that was me being immature. I should have kind of researched the company more, and instead of just saying, man, I've had a few frickin' bad parts from them, and it's always the electronics. Well, it was true. The few bad parts that I did have was the electronics. Most of their plastic parts and metal parts and stuff like that fit better than original equipment. And the more I talked to the company, the more I had to deal with them, the more I went to actual venues where they were there. I met some of their corporate reps and stuff. The more I realized how passionate they were about actually fixing what's wrong. They actually created a completely different team. Why is 10-speed a learning transmission? Based on the driver's style. I mean, I don't know, to be honest with you. Actually, a coworker, not coworker of mine, but a guy, like I said, ironically, quick story for you guys. I work side by side with some Mazda guys that work right next to us, and I was helping I asked for help from one of the Mazda techs. He gave me some ideas on why an engine wasn't starting. When I put an engine in a SUV, and I couldn't get it to start for some reason. I heard this click and bind, click bind, click bind, click bind, and it kept doing it over and over again. And he came and looked at it with me for a little bit, and he was like, I don't know, this is odd. Here's some ideas. And then I got the idea, let me go back and check all my connections at the starter and stuff like that. And sure as shit, the starter Bendix kind of bound up inside the housing, and it would go to click and come out, but it wouldn't even come out to connect with the engine. And the little tiny wire that goes down there to that little exciter post wasn't actually kicking it over like it was supposed to, because it was bound up. It wasn't creating enough current flow to push past that bind. So what I did was I took my power probe and I actually stuck 12 volts and I just threw it right to that terminal, and all of a sudden it went boom. It didn't bang bang, but it made a little small bang. It freed itself up, connected with the engine, and it started right up. And he said, actually, that's a known common problem with those Mazdas, especially on their starters. The terminals rot out, and sometimes the Bendix will actually get stuck. And you'll have to tap on the starter to get it unstuck. And normally, after you do it, the first time it happens, it won't happen again. It's like it's a weird thing that happens with them. Well, I got to know this guy, talking to him back and forth, and he's like a phenomenal dude. He's one of those techs that you want to be around in the industry. Very positive attitude. He's seen pretty much everything with Mazda. Doesn't talk down to people and stuff like that. He doesn't believe in like not helping people, things of this nature. He's just a good tech that's been in this industry for 25 plus years, and he's got a very, very good head on his shoulders. And I was talking to him the other day because he had some questions on his F-150. It's a 10-speed, and he was like, man, I was getting a hard shift, like 2.3, 3.4, and I decided that 140 or 150,000 miles was probably time to service my transmission because I never did it. So I serviced the transmission, I dropped the fluid in the pan and put a new filter and stuff, filled it all back up to proper operating level. And he's like, man, now this transmission is doing all kinds of wonky stuff, man. I got to drive around for a while in the morning before I can even get to work in a safe manner, because I got to drive an hour to get to work. And he's like, it'll freaking weird shift up and down and delayed shift and everything else. And all I did was service it and put a new filter in it. They tried putting it in learning mode to see if it could actually learn a better strategy and stuff. And it's not learning a better strategy. So it's kind of odd that you asked that question, and this just happened to me. The ironic part about this whole entire situation is I was talking to him, giving him some ideas and stuff, maybe pull it out of learning mode, maybe put it's in learning mode right now, maybe go drive around a little bit, get it to where it needs to be, have the computer hooked up to it, and then disable learning mode and see if that helps. Because those valve bodies are really wonky. The springs, the actual little pistons that push up against the spring and stuff, and fluid pressure overcomes one side and pushes up against the spring. But once fluid pressure is gone, the spring pushes back and pushes the little piston back the other way, and it shuts off flow to that circuit. Well, sometimes those little pistons get bound up inside the bore and stuff as well. So if there's any debris and stuff in there, you may have dislodged something. That could be causing your shifting issue. It's really touchy whenever you start servicing a transmission with 150,000 miles, especially a transmission over, like, let's just say 100,000 miles. You start servicing them and they've never been touched before, you don't know what you're going to get yourself into. You really don't. That's why I tell people all the time, instead of hitting that filter up right away, especially if you haven't serviced it in a while and you want to start changing some fluid, don't service the filter right away. Start changing the fluid little by little by little by little. And then once you get the majority of the fluid over like a year's time, like a quart here and there, flushed out or changed out, then maybe I might consider going back and actually doing something with that filter. The reason I say that is, if there is any type of material inside that oil and you're pulling it out and that's what's helping hold the strands together, at least you'll know by little by little by little if you're pulling stuff out that's actually helping the trans, and you can stop yourself before you do way too much. And then you can see about pulling the filter. It's a weird situation. These transmissions are wonky. Why they made the 10-speed transmission a learning transmission? It's for a fuel efficiency. It's to learn driver habits and to keep it within the threshold of how the manufacturer wants to adhere to the EPA regulations to give you that fuel efficiency. FTT, good morning. Chunty, collision repair? Sure I do. The 10-speed is my go-to. I really don't want I don't want a 10-speed transmission. The only 10-speed transmission I would even consider is like a 23, maybe 23, 24 and up F-150. I've been thinking about it. Trust me, once I get this truck paid off, Over the next couple years, it should be paid off within the next year and a half. I'll have a pretty good trade-in value on it. I was thinking about keeping this truck and then maybe getting another F-150, like a two-wheel drive F-150, a newer one, 24, 25 model, and make it into like a little street sleeper and be done with these lower horsepower cars and stuff, like, you know, the Panthers. I love the Panthers, don't get me wrong. But I just don't see myself long-term trying to go to car shows and stuff in a little 300 horsepower car. So I want something that I can brag about, something that I can get in and be like, oh, you want to talk trash? Here, let me leave you 5 car lengths behind or something, you know. And I love the Panthers. I'll never stop loving them. But I hope to see myself in 2 or 3 years from now to where I can just go out and buy a single cab, short wheelbase F-150 and just do whatever I want to it. The channel is growing extremely well right now. Thank you guys for helping me hit a milestone, 180,000. At like 160,000, everything kind of slowed down for a while. And then all of a sudden over the last like month, with me doing the morning live streams and the check-ins when I got hurt and stuff like that, the channel started to take back off again, and it's been doing very well. A lot of people have been interested in live streams and my health journey and stuff like that, and seeing all the personal interactions. If you've noticed, I've stopped a lot of the drama stuff. I don't really get upset about things anymore as much. I don't lash out at people as much anymore. I've tried to really reconstruct how I talk about things, and I just didn't find it was very beneficial at all to act like a little diva, a drama queen. It wasn't, and most men don't want to see that anyway. So I tried to stop all that. I just try to be a personable person so I can communicate better with you guys, and then I have less people tuning out being like, oh, here we go, he's ranting about something else. So if you've noticed that, great. If you haven't noticed that, I hope you do moving forward. I've really tried working on that stuff lately. Things that make me mad and upset, just don't even talk about it for the most part, unless it's politics. Then I'll tear that up, because that really ticks me off, and that affects all of us. Is it still the same one you resprayed, the 150? Yeah, it's still the. You mean the resprayed, like the paint? You mean paint overall? That was my Dodge Ram. I have a 3.3 F-150 4-wheel crew cab, like you showed in that. Oh, I love those, man. They just run forever, man. And a lot of guys that aren't hauling stuff really heavy, and they're just wanting to do stuff around the house and haul lumber back and forth and just like more moderate loads, that engine can handle it perfectly fine. And you typically don't ever see those in the shop for any kind of serious issues. Is it still the same one you resprayed? So are you talking about the Dodge Ram, the one that I resprayed the entire outside with undercoating and then kind of made it just a work truck? I sold that one a couple years ago. That had a brand new transmission, brand new suspension, brand new lower end, upper end, everything was done in that truck. So that truck will be on the road for years and years and years. It got an entirely new bed. All the rockers and stuff, like any of the holes and stuff, all that were cut out and metal re-welded in and redone. So that truck will be around for a while. The one that I sprayed the frame on is my F-150. I sprayed that with fluid film fluid film. First it was Surface Shield, and then later on I did fluid film, and I've been slowly building up over the year. Anytime I see a dry area, I'll touch it up, and that truck has like zero rust on the frame at all. It's completely, any of the little spots of rust that you used to see on the frame with that fluid film over the last few years, completely took care of all that, and it's completely gone. There's no rust there anymore at all. ...2010 Grand Marquis. I bought it from the original owner. I wish I could get mine finished, man. I gotta get this trans put in that thing, but it's so depressing pulling up at the house and seeing it just sitting there with that new engine in it, all the new fluids and stuff in it, the new parts and stuff all over it, and it's sitting there while the transmission's here because I've just got caught up in life again. You know, it's a huge slowdown. The baby's just about to start walking, so actually last night she did one of these numbers. I think she's about to start walking. I'm no professional parent, and just like my therapist says, there's no book for it, and each parenting style it's going to be a little different per child, because different children have different personalities and little, intricacies that make them do and say and act the way that they act. So last night she stood up in the middle of the floor. She did one of these numbers. She was down on her knee and she stood up. She put one leg up and then she put the other leg up and she looked around and she went like this. And she pivoted on one foot. Oh crap, and then she sat down real quick, like it almost scared her that she was able to do it. She's trying things out. She's trying to get the nerve to actually make the first step. Well, then later on, she was in the kitchen. I was cutting up I made a big beef roast because I've been trying to eat really clean, like just meats and green veggies basically. A lot of water and coffee, nothing else. And I just got done making the rib roast. I'm slicing it up. I have my big brisket slicer in there. I'm slicing it up, and she comes into the kitchen and she grabs me, and I'm like, okay, I need to put this knife down because you never know what's going to happen while you're touching something like that. And the baby's grabbing on your pant leg and stuff. And she goes to fall, and you go to catch her, and you got a knife in your hand. Bad things can happen. So I'm standing there slicing this thing. She comes in, grabbing my pant legs, and she's looking at me, and she's standing there with one hand holding onto my pants legs, and she's like wobbling. And she's like, look what I could do. And she's standing there wobbling. And then she lets go. And then she's wobbling while she's watching me, and I'm like smiling at her and I'm clapping for her, and she gets annoyed with me because I'm not grabbing her, and I think that's what she wanted me to do, reach down and grab her, and I was like, no, I'm not going to grab you right now. I'm in the middle of doing something. So I wanted to go back and grab the knife and go back to doing it, but then I still kept remembering, don't touch that right now while she's grabbing onto you or near you. So I kept watching her, giving her the attention she wanted, and she got annoyed. She turned like this and she looked at the garbage can, and the garbage can's nice and silvery and shiny and stuff. And we keep the garbage can cleaned off now, especially with the baby around. We wipe it down once every couple days because she likes to go to it and touch it. It's shiny. So she's standing by me and she looks at it and she's like, I bet you I can make that couple steps to that garbage can without actually getting down and crawling to it. So she looks over there, she looks back at me and she goes, let's do it. So she goes, step. Like a big giant step. She steps right across the way. Her little arm couldn't even reach that garbage can. She took that big giant step and then she grabbed the garbage can and she was like, see, I did it. This girl's about to start walking. I feel it. I feel that she's like all the like she's about to start walking. And I think once she starts walking, it's going to be easier on mom, and then her and mom can go do things more, like run out to the zoo, go to like children's events and stuff, like little museums, so mom doesn't always have to have her in her arms. She could be holding her hand and start walking together and stuff. I'm not saying right away, but that's going to make it easier on mom for her to go actually travel and stuff and say, come here, let's get your clothes and stuff on, instead of going and chasing her through the house. Let's go to the zoo, and she'll help mom get her clothes and stuff together and get all packed up and ready to go. So I think once she starts walking, it's going to be harder to keep up with her for sure, but it's going to be easier to actually go do things, because then she can start participating slowly in getting herself ready to go do things, go to grandma's house, go to the zoo, whatever. And then I can start focusing a little more on back on my hobbies and stuff like that. Things that I do here. I love being in this garage now. I used to hate being in this garage because it was boring. Now I love being in this garage. It's my time away. It's my little reset time. It's near the weights that have changed my life. What does that mean? Have you bought her first wrench yet? Oh man, she's in my arms sometimes when I'm doing stuff to the vehicle. She's in my arms while I'm out smoking briskets and pork butts and beef roast and stuff. She's no stranger to what Dad does. I have her in my arms a lot so she can see and be a part of, like, I want to be an example to her on what I would hope that she would try to find a man in the future that can do. There's too many men out there that don't know how to change their oil. They don't know enough about cars. They don't know enough about being handy. They don't know enough about doing more manual things in life because they're so reliant on other people doing them for them. I would hope that when she's with me and she sees the things that I can do, that she would try to find a guy that can do those things too, because what they say, what do you say, what does it take to be a man? Well, to me, if you wanted me to answer that question honestly, what does it take to be a man? It's not those manual things. those manual things that I talk about, that doesn't mean that you're a man that you can do it. I would just hope that you would have those traits. What it takes to be a man, I think, would be make sure your family's safe. Make sure you're trying to make sure your family's taken care of, your bills are paid, and that you're looking out for your family's best interests first before anything, not your own, but them. To actually be there, to be their foundation, to give them the life that they need to be able to experience life in a very positive way. So I think first and foremost, loving them, protecting them, supporting them, not looking to destroy your family, but to nurture it and help mom grow it. I think that's what it takes to be a man first, before any of those other things. And that's just me summing it up in a few seconds because you put me on the spot. So, understanding that as a man, you don't always have to have the last word. Understanding that as a man, you may think sometimes you're being supportive, and you are, but you're just communicating it the wrong way. Actually understanding that that if you have daughters and stuff, that requires a different level of support than having a bunch of boys. It's very emotional. If you can support, if you can be okay and raise a family with a bunch of daughters and stuff like that, you can raise boys no problem. That's a no-brainer. That'll never change. That's a no-brainer. It's harder to raise girls because they're different than you. As a man, it's harder to raise girls because they're different than you, but it's also easier at the same time because they're so much, I think they're so much better at showing love. And I don't know if it's showing love as much as it is, you don't feel like you want to be as hard on them because they're girls. You don't feel like you want to push them as much to be tough and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. She's going to be a tough little girl. I'm scared that she may knock a few people out. But at the same time, she's still a girl, you know? We're not built the same. Understanding the two differences between female and male, the structure and stuff like that, emotional creatures versus physical creatures. That's kind of, you know, there's a difference. Boys are more physical. They're more aggressive. They're more hands-on when it comes to things. I kind of want that to be a little bit, I want her to be a little bit of that, but she's still a girl. I want her to be a girl, you know? What did you say in Half-Baked? As he is filming in the garage. What does that mean, Monkey? What are we getting at with that statement? Please, let's clarify that right now, because I'm not the one. I'm just telling you. Ford is Half-Baked. You're all over the place. You got me confused, man. Girls need a dad. You set the model of how a man should be. And understanding that between you and your wife, you have roles. You do have roles, regardless if you want to believe it or not. There's a lot of women and men that believe that, no, there are no roles. We don't have differences and stuff like that. We're the same and we make decisions. No, you don't. It's not the same. I was recently corrected about some things by my therapist, that she was like, I know you think that you should have some say-so in this area, but I don't really think sometimes it's appropriate, because as a father, you want to be there to support your daughter, but if you're making specific corrections, it can come across as a little uncomfortable and pushy coming from dad versus mom that's the same gender as the daughter, that understands what she's going through a little better. So you might want to back off a little in this area when making corrections and let mom take over more. That's her role, is to understand her daughter and understand what she's going through a little more than you, a lot more than you. So that would be better coming from mom that actually understands what she's going through because she's been there, than dad that she may see as barking a bunch of orders or wanting a bunch of changes, but he's never experienced what she's actually going through. That blew my mind because I never thought of it that way. That's 100% correct. I should have thought of it. Maybe this is something mom should make a correction on and not me. We do have roles, regardless if we want to believe it or not. We do. And there's a lot of people that go through life in denial of that, and that's simply not true. Good morning, Janice. Read? Okay, I'm going to go back and read, and then, let's see, use, I don't know what the hell the two arrows, women, love, Ford, had a 408 V6 3.0 car, would not start, bought a new battery, alternator, and still wouldn't start. Why? Why do you think it wouldn't start? Battery and alternator is not the only thing that starts a car. An alternator doesn't even start a car. You could have started with a battery first and not wasted money on the alternator. Why? Why did you start there? That's what I don't get. And also, those 3.0s, they had a tendency to start misfiring and backfeed the injector drivers, not the injector drivers, the ignition coil drivers. It would actually smoke the computer. It would cause it to misfire, and if it was bad enough, it'd actually burn up the drivers in the computer and cause it to not start at all, because the ignition system would not fire because the computer was messed up. So you'd have to go through and replace all the spark plugs, all the ignition coils, sometimes even in a harness if the backfeed was bad enough, and then you'd have to replace a PCM as well. But go over the basics. If it's not going to start, if it's cranking and it's not starting, the battery's not going to do it, the alternator's not going to do it. It's going to be fuel, ignition, compression. Is there a restriction in the air intake? Is it not getting air inside? And is it fuel? No, air, fuel, exhaust being plugged up, compression being bad. It only needs a few things. To have combustion like that in an engine, a gasoline engine, you need compression, spark, fuel, and air. That's it. So one of those four are not happening. If you're not getting proper compression, sometimes it won't fire at all. If you're not getting proper exhaust, you can't blow out what you can't take in, right? Or you can't take in what you can't blow out. So your exhaust might be plugged up. I've seen dirt daubers and critters and stuff get up in people's exhaust systems and completely plug it up, and then the car won't run. Then you got to pull out an oxygen sensor to start it, so at least it has an area to breathe and it fires right up and runs like a raped ape. So if you can't get air in, something's blocked in the intake side, that's also another thing. If you're not getting fuel, that's another thing. If you're not getting ignition, that's another thing. If it won't turn over, that's a whole different beast. You're going to have to crank over the engine by hand and manually see, is it bound up? If it's not bound up, do I have a starter problem? Do I have a supply problem for ground or power going to my starter? If that's a yes, then I need to check my grounds. My grounds are good. My power cable is good. I have voltage drop tested that, no problem. I go to my battery. Oh crap, my battery is bad. Okay, I replaced my battery. Now I'm cranking over, but if I'm still not starting, I still got another intake, fuel, compression, or exhaust problem. All right, I need to hit some weights here a little bit. I know there's 33 of you here, but I hope you don't mind. I gotta push a little bit. Just a little, at least. You don't have to stay for this if you don't want to, but that part of the watching every comment is over. Now I want to try to get some real light benching in real quick before I leave. I haven't worked chest in a little bit because I've been trying to build up my rotator cuffs. My rotator cuffs have been really acting up over the last, I want to say, like 2 or 3 months. So I think I was overtraining specific areas and I wasn't training my shoulders enough. That's why I've been doing a lot more back training and shoulder training, because I think what I did was I created an imbalance. I don't know if I actually tore something. Over the next couple months, if it doesn't get better and bench pressing still continues to hurt, then I'm going to lay off the bench and actually go try to see an orthopedic doctor and get myself looked at. I feel a little tweak in my shoulder, not terrible, so I think I'm going to push through, see how it feels going up slowly. That was just 10 at 135, nothing big. My big thing is I just got to be careful. I'm going to do a video later. Happy Friday. I enjoy working out with you. Fort Boston. Oh, appreciate that, man. Thanks. God bless that big. So, I don't know. We'll see. I'm worried about the shoulder. I want to push it heavy. You know, sometimes I'll throw 275 on here and do it like 5 to 8 times, but by the time I get to the 5th to 8th time, I really feel that shoulder pinch right in the... I can almost touch it right now. It hurts. And part of it is from years of bench pressing when my arms are out like this. They're now teaching that you should have never been benching out like this, because that was the traditional way of thinking, to get your chest nice and wide. Now they're saying that you need to bring your shoulders down and bench like this, and it takes some of that pressure off of your shoulders and it doesn't injure them as bad or as much or at all. I feel it a little more
than the lighter weight, but it doesn't feel that bad to the point where I can't keep going. So that was 185 for 10. I'm just trying to go real slow. Try to feel it out, feel where I'm at. It doesn't feel that great, but it also doesn't I do a lot of lifting at work. Yeah, so do I though, man. I lift a lot of shit all day though. On and off all day. And I thought the same thing that you did. And then I started working out and I realized I wasn't actually as good off as I thought I was. Just like my doctor said, yeah, lifting at work ain't the same thing as lifting at home for like exercise. It's not the same. Your heart rate's different. The way you exercise and stuff and how you keep yourself in the groove is different. You got to work out at home. If you want the full effect of actually working out and being strong, you can be strong at work. But if you're not training to keep your heart rate up and your muscles being moved and a specific contraction each time, it's just not the same thing. As I said the same thing you did. I'm lifting heavy stuff all the time. I don't ever really ask for help. I just do it by myself and it's not the same. Try out 225 and see how it feels. Maybe try to go up to 275, I don't know. Yeah, it'd be nice. Then we could work out at the same time. We could do a live stream challenge. Talking to you, Dan. I know I didn't specify. My dental surgery went well, but it took 15 minutes to wake up. My surgery was last November 20th. I got more work ahead, but it will happen. What's up with the dental surgery? What's going on with that? Did you have like an accident, or are you trying to get something corrected, or? I know I need dental surgery, but I put it off. Not that I have rotten teeth or anything, my teeth are just all screwed up. Alright, this is 225, I want to see how it feels. I don't quite know how this is going to go. The shoulder's been really acting up. That actually wasn't terrible. I felt it a little bit, but it wasn't terrible. I think I'll do 275 and see how it feels, just to see if I start to hurt myself. Let's see. And you know what I will say though, with the weight loss, even though I've been training a lot, with the weight loss, I've actually lost a lot of strength in certain areas. The weight actually helped me in some areas. Seemed like I actually had more energy as well. When working out specific workouts. Let's see what time it is. I gotta go soon, so. Wish me luck. Still, it hurts. Fuck, man. I want to keep pushing, but I can't push because it freaking hurts. Oh. Alright. I'm done with that. Oh. Freaking hurts, man. I hate that. Well, I'm gonna get in the house, get ready to go. I got a couple minutes and I gotta get out of here. Putting the lower rest of my actual teeth removed and enamel was... Yeah, man, it sucks. I might... It's just this one freaking shoulder, man. And with me getting older, I don't really know that I should be focusing on as heavy as I like to focus, but at least I'm doing it. I'm trying. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to get to work this morning, and I'm going to do a video on that aluminum pan and the upgrade that they have to offer in that Dorman kit. And then maybe this weekend I'll do a video on the 2011 to 2019 Ford Explorer external A-pillar plastic pieces that Dorman has a kit that's substantially cheaper and actually nicer than the original equipment ones for the exterior of the vehicle. So you guys have a great day. I need to move quick and get out of here. Take care. Love y'all. Be blessed.